What's up, guys? Got back a little while ago from the Seahawks Rams game, and ugh, not good, not good. It was a messy game in a lot of ways. Um, I haven't done a lot of looking at too many stats. I'm just kind of going off of my gut of what I saw in the stadium. My first thought was, uh, first of all, just really sloppy execution today. I don't know what was up, but it kind of reminded me a little bit about a little of the Cardinals game where we lost at home. And I remember that first quarter where it was like all we kept doing was getting penalties and bad execution, and it just seemed like we were always, couldn't get out of first gear, always kind of behind the eight ball. It was kind of like that through most of the game, where at least especially the first half, where we didn't have a whole lot of yards, didn't have a whole lot of time possession, and just penalties, bad snaps. We had fumbles. We had drop drop passes. Um, Russell was running for his life again. I felt like deja vu to the first game of the season. But yeah, just I don't know. We just weren't sharp. That's the first thing. It just didn't feel like we were playing up to our potential the way we had been playing. Russell seemed a little more hesitant, um, jumping out of the pocket, probably because he was feeling a lot of that pressure, and he got hit a lot, which is not good. That's the first time I've ever seen Russell get up limping before. I've never seen it until today. It was on that play that um, pissed me off. It was that play where Russell slid and then got hit by the defender. No flag, even though in one of the first earlier series with the Rams QB, we got flagged for hitting him as he was going into a slide. I thought those plays were practically identical, and for some reason we didn't we got the flag, and they didn't. But they get to officiating later, okay? But yeah, we never seemed to get into a rhythm till the second half when we had that one long drive that led to our first touchdown, which was impressive in the way that they overcame uh, 3rd and 31. We got over 3rd and 31 to eventually score. I mean, we had so much we had to overcome in that drive, from multiple penalties to losses of going backwards, just crazy. But yeah, I mean, it's just things that we don't normally do, like the missed snaps. I mean, that one snap that went like 10 feet in the air. I mean, what was that? Just never seen that before. That's just not characteristic. And then the one late in the game when we were trying to mount our comeback, and then it was like 3rd and 2, deep in Rams territory, and then he snaps it like a roller along the ground, and then it becomes 4th and 17, and we're forced to punt. I mean, that was just a disaster. So I mean, that's just a lot of weird things like that happen. Um, but I gotta give credit to the Rams because they always play us tough, at their place as well as ours, and they beat us. They swept us this season, and those guys are physical. They get after the quarterback, and they were hitting us hard. They got flagged a few times, but I just think they just sort of outmuscled us in a lot of these plays, and so. Uh, and I'm sure the guys are gonna have a lot of bumps and bruises tomorrow morning, especially Russell, man. I'm just glad he didn't have anything serious, because when he got up limping from that hit, I was like, man, this is the last thing we can afford to have happen. But I don't know how many sacks we ended up with. I know, and we don't think we sacked them once, but they got Russell at least, I don't know, 4 or 5 times, it felt like. But yeah, but you got to give tip cap to the Rams. It's like they seem to suck against everybody else, but for some reason when they play us, they're like got their A game on. I don't know what it is. So they just have our number, always have, and it seems like so far they always do play us tough. But that's the first time we've lost to them at home in a while. So it was disappointing in the sense that that was our possibly last home game of the season, at least regular season, last game of 2015, and to go out, on that note, uh, to watch the team at home for the last time to play like that and have a game that ended in a loss like that. You know, it was just psychologically disappointing. You know, it's our that was the Russell Wilson streak of no interceptions and multiple touchdowns that came to an end with that pick that he threw. Um, I guess we had a string of like 63 straight games where we always at least had the lead at one point. We never led in that game, so that streak came to an end. What else? Sherman got beat badly on that one pass play. He just ran behind him, and Keenum, or whatever his name is, QB, threw the ball perfectly behind him, and there wasn't much you can say. I don't think it was a double move or anything. He did kind of, I think he looked and maybe pumped one direction and went Sherman's way, but yeah, he just got beat. So that was not a pretty situation. But from what I saw on the scoreboard up there, I mean, it's like total yardage. We actually beat them in terms of time of possession, total yards, and you actually held them to like 207 yards of total offense, which normally on paper you'd look at that and go, wow, that was a good day for the defense. And for the most part it was, with the exception of one long drive that we allowed them to get after we had scored. Included a couple of fumbles that they had that we should have had one of those, and another one that we just didn't quite get our hands on, and eventually led to them scoring and answering, which put us 2 scores behind. With the exception of that drive, I mean, we held them pretty well in check. What was I going to say? Yeah, so I mean, defensively, it was not that bad of a game. Offensively, we were terrible in the first half. Gave it way too many sacks, and then in the second half, we had drives together, overcoming that 3rd and 31. I thought we were going to have it turned around, and then of course we gave up the score. And then I got to finally get to it. Is the officiating? I mean, I have not watched the broadcast yet, but I can only imagine. I'm curious to see what they were talking about on the broadcast, because up in the stands we were going nuts. We were tearing our hair out, going, "What the heck are these guys doing? These guys are just freaking ruining this game." And I'm not going to say that it's the refs that is the reason we lost, because I hate to use that as an excuse, but there's a time when it's one thing to, let's say, be calling things slightly one-sided, but it's a whole other thing to just be completely blowing calls and drastically not calling it even on both sides, extremely uneven. But just a couple of things that come to mind were some really bad, just puzzling calls. There's one where we had the ball going right to left, and we had them jump offside. It should have been a free play and let us just chuck the ball downfield, see what happens, and they stopped the clock. And I was like, "Where's the free play?" And then these guys just call offsides, and then it's a redo 5 yards closer, but we completely missed our opportunity to have a free play on that, and that's it made no sense at all. Then that crazy thing with the fumble where the Rams had it was like 3rd and short, I think, and they were trying to get the first down, and the ball just comes squirting out 7 yards down the field, and there's a big scrum, and they initially called St. Louis ball, which I didn't understand in the first place because they were still fighting for it. And then the other ref calls Seattle ball, and we're all celebrating, cheering. The offense is running onto the field, and then they call it St. Louis ball again. Just did not make. You just don't see that happen. I mean, and there were other situations where those guys were just taking way too long to make a decision, especially in that last 2 minutes where we were trying to move down the field quick. And there's that play where we had just gotten the pass going down the field, and we were trying to get lined up, and the ref is like standing there in the way, delaying things. And while we're trying to get the ball going, and they're just slowing the whole stupid thing up. And then in that play where Russell got hit and eventually was called a fumble, we're trying to do a hurry up quick, get the ball snapped before there could be a challenge. And then they they're standing there having a conference while the clock's ticking away, and we're trying to get lined up just to get things going before they can challenge. And then sure enough, they challenge, and then it's overturned and becomes a fumble, and that almost pretty much sealed it there. Even though we still had still we're right down the wire, had a chance to win this game. And as I was just, I'm sure there's more I'm forgetting, but those are just a few of the highlights of some of those plays that are calls. The rest were just aggravating, to watch them get in the way of the game. It's like either call it even or just let them play. And that's my feeling. I mean, if you're gonna let this quarterback get hit and throw the flag, well, you better call it again when this quarterback gets hit on the slide. But if you don't call it here, just don't call it there. Let them play. If you're gonna say let them play, but don't let them play on this one, and then don't let them on this one. So very inconsistent and very just bad, just badly run. So that's not saying that's why we lost. We didn't play very well, but when you're trying to come back, and we were trying to mount a comeback, when they get in the way of that, in a way that just is so frustratingly, just not running the way a regular official crew should be running. It's hard. It's kind of hard to, get back into it when you feel like you're trying to fight the refs at the same time. Anyway, I'm sure there's a lot more that could be dissected about this game, but too many mistakes, too many penalties, and just a lot of drop balls, just fundamental things that they're going to have to make sure they don't do that, because every team we play from this point on is going to be playoff caliber teams. Now, so speaking of the playoffs, so a lot of people are freaking out, asking, "Oh, does this affect our playoffs? Are we going to be in the playoffs still?" So here's the deal: it's a very murky picture, and there's really no straight up answer as to what we need to have happen from this point on. And one thing you can count on is we are in the playoffs, period. We are not going anywhere. We have clinched a spot, so we are playing the playoffs no matter what. Now it just comes down to who do you want to play, because the three possible teams are right now, if it ended today, we'd be playing Green Bay in Lambeau, because our losses and the fact that the Vikings won tonight handily over the Giants. So we'd be playing the Packers in Lambeau, and then the 5 seed would be the Vikings, and they would go play the Redskins. That's if everything ended today. But there's the other possible scenarios, and it depends on what happens next week. If we lose again, we would continue to be the 6th seed, which is where we are right now. But there's still a situation, I believe, where we could still end up as the 5th seed if the Packers beat the Vikings next week and we win against the Cardinals. So that's what has to happen if we want to get the 5th seed. Now, then there comes the question as well, which team do you really want to play? Because right now you got Vikings playing really well, you got the Redskins playing really well, and you got the Packers who just got their butts kicked by the Cardinals today. I've been this whole time worrying about having to go to Lambeau to play the Cardinals, and now I'm starting to think maybe that's not the worst thing in the world. Packers just aren't looking so good. But, you kind of have to pick. I mean, we don't have control over what happens outside of what we play, but those are your choices, and we'll see where we end up. And I guess there's some crazy outside shot that the Falcons could also come back in here. Actually, no, that won't happen because the Vikings won, so the Falcons are eliminated. So never mind, forget the Falcons. But yeah, those are scenarios, and so depending on how you want things to play out will affect who you're rooting for and what you want to have happen next week. Originally, I wanted to just play the Redskins, assuming that they'd be the weakest because they're coming out of the NFC least, but they're playing pretty well. And I don't know, if you want to play the team with the hot hand going into the playoffs. But it was kind of a weird weekend. A lot of upsets today. New England lost, Pittsburgh lost, we lost, the Panthers lost. I think those are the main ones that kind of jump off the page. So, yeah, a lot of money lost today in the gambling world. So that's your situation, guys. We got one more game playing at a little possible playoff preview, playing the Cardinals in Arizona next week. And it's possible if the Panthers win in the morning, then the Cardinals may really not have anything to play for because the first and second seeds will be locked. The Cardinals will have the second seed. They could rest their guys. So if the Panthers lose, then the Cardinals will be fighting to try to get that first seed. So they'll be playing with all guns blazing, trying to take us down so they can get the first number one seed. So that Panther game will have a big impact on what happens in our game. So anyway, interesting scenarios right up to the end. But all we got to do is, see, I'll just try to play so that we can go into the playoffs with a little bit of momentum. But we need everybody healthy. And, man, if ever the time we need Marshawn Lynch back, we need him back. So I have a video coming out pretty soon here dedicated to that very point of having Marshawn Lynch back. I want to thank Laura Stockler-Carter, wife of Cannonball, for doing my face paint today. I had a lot of compliments from people today, and I loved it. I thought it turned out awesome. So she does the face painting over at the King Street Bar and Oven every home game during hours leading up before the game. So if you want to get your face painted cool, drop by there. All right. Let me see. There's a possibility I've been invited to go down to watch a game to join the Seahawks down in Southern California, and that would be a lot of fun. So try to get that worked out. I'd love to go down there and hang out with you SoCal folks. Be a lot of fun. So anyway, we'll see. I'm not sure yet what I'll be watching this next couple games, but I'm hoping to hop down to Southern California and check it out. All right. Don't feel too badly, though. I mean, don't overreact to this game. It's just a loss, more of a feel-bad loss than it is really anything that hurts the team. We're fine. We're still playoff bound. This doesn't suddenly change who we are. We're good. All right? Everything's good. Came out of there relatively healthy. Now we just got to get the other guys back in there, and we'll get it cleaned up. It's just a little bump in the road, but still postseason bound. Anything can happen once we get to the playoffs. All right? Okay, well, New Year's is coming up, so we're about to say goodbye to 2015, and hello to the playoffs. All right, one more regular season game to go. Let's get her done, and it's playoff time, baby. All right, thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Check out NorbCam.com, and appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Go Hawks.